A CBS News investigation has uncovered a loophole that allows accused and convicted American pedophiles to escape justice by moving to Israel. So Ian Lee has been following this for more than a year, and he traveled to Israel for this investigation. He worked with a group that tracks people accused of sex crimes, which estimates dozens of Americans have used this loophole.
So, you know, he's 6'2".
We are on a stakeout looking for this man, Jimmy Julius Caro, 48 years old and wanted on charges of sexually assaulting a 9-year-old girl in Oregon back in 2000 and a 5-year-old girl in Israel in 2001. He's considered dangerous. But these photos are a few years old, so we don't know if he'll look the same. He remains elusive. Previous attempts to capture him have failed.
Obviously, the fear that he would somehow figure out that anyone's looking for him and bolt. He just called his number.
Shauna Aronson got a tip that Caro's expected at this clinic near Tel Aviv.
Who's going to call the
She's
police
with JCW, Jewish Community Watch, an organization that hunts down accused pedophiles who flee to Israel from the U.S., exploiting a process called Law of Return, whereby any Jewish person can move to Israel and automatically gain citizenship. The ease with which pedophiles seem able to use this law as an escape route haunts victims like Mendy Hawk, who says he was abused from age 8 by a teacher at an Orthodox Jewish school in Los Angeles.
So your classroom is right here. How does it feel being back?
I was very anxious and, stressed coming back here. A lot of memories coming through my mind.
Memories of his alleged abuser, Mordechai Yom Tov, who taught him Hebrew studies when he was just 8 years old.
So in the beginning, he would just rub me outside of my pants, and then I would say about 3 to 4 months later, he started going in.
Reaching down your pants?
Yeah, it's reaching down.
Why did you feel like you couldn't tell anyone?
I was scared. I was ashamed. I just didn't know what people would think of me, of the whole situation.
Yom Tov pled guilty in 2002 to sexually abusing and committing lewd acts against 3 other boys. He served jail time, but when he was released, he violated his probation and, according to JCW, fled to Israel with help from individuals within the Orthodox Jewish community. JCW tracked Yom Tov down and confronted him with a hidden camera in Jerusalem, where he admitted to illegally fleeing the United States with help and using a fake passport to enter Israel.
I was supposed to stay for 5 years in the same city. I was supposed to, let's see, join the homicide cruiser. I was supposed to go every 2 weeks to the police station. I left within a week later.
He had this message for his victims.
I'm very, 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 very sorry.
The other person in this video is Mayor Seawald, the founder of Jewish Community Watch. He tells CBS News Yom Tov's case isn't uncommon in the Orthodox community.
The same thing that's going on in the Catholic Church right now around the world, the exact same thing happens in our community. The rabbis say it's, you know what, he promised he's going to go for therapy, he's never going to do it again. Boom, he's in another community. A few years later, he's at the same thing, and we hear more allegations that the person continued to abuse children.
And often, those abusers end up in Israel. Rabbi Yehuda Oppenheimer says he unwittingly helped Caro escape.
There was nothing that raised any red flags up to the point where he was moving to Israel.
Well, I wish I could say that, but unfortunately I can't say that. So he had violated his parole, and now they were looking for him. He said that there was something in the past that had happened when he was young, but nothing had ever happened since. I've changed and I'm a different person now, but you gotta help me. I felt that I could trust him. So I wrote him a letter, and he bought a ticket, and he left.
Caro is accused of abusing more children when he got to Israel.
What was that like for you when you found that out?
Punch to the gut. It was very painful.
Rabbi Oppenheimer says the reason he came forward is to shine a light on the process of accused pedophiles fleeing, to help ensure it doesn't happen again. Back at the stakeout, an ambulance pulls up and a man steps out. It's Caro.
That was definitely him. Oh my God. Okay.
The police are called and eventually arrive. His days on the run are over as he's led away.
Did you assault the girl in the United States?
No.
Did you flee Israel because you assaulted the girl in the United States? Have you ever assaulted any girls in Israel? Do you know that you're wanted by Interpol?
Yeah.
There's relief as police escort him to their car. This marks the end to a months-long manhunt.
Oh my gosh! Can I give you a hug? I have something I need to tell you.
Yeah.
Okay. We found him, and he was just arrested.
What?
He was just arrested.
Thank you. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Amuna, not her real name, is the person on the other end of the line. She was a little girl when Caro entered her life.
I was 4 or 5 years old. My mother was on bed rest. My father's a rabbi, so he wasn't really home. He used to come to our house. We used to play games, and then it became sexual. I'm going to give you a cookie because you do it so nicely. It's all about the cookie. It's all about lying, and it's all about being so evil to a little child. He also threatened me. He would kill my parents. He would choke me. He would hold me. He would kidnap me.
How did that affect you?
A lot. Yeah. It affected my whole life. My whole life is around this sexual abuse and rape. Yeah.
Amuna turned to therapy and art to help deal with the trauma.
This is in my bedroom and my inspiration.
She paints and writes poetry, but she's still angry that it was allowed to happen in the first place.
What are your thoughts on him being able to come to Israel and flee the United States?
It brings up a lot of anger and a lot of frustration towards the Israeli system.
Shauna says the failure begins in the U.S.
Why would someone want to help one of these pedophiles escape?
Oftentimes there's some sort of community incentive. Either somebody owes them a favor, or someone in the community, let's say an institution, has covered up for them in the past, and they know that if this goes to court, there's a lot of civil liability coming down the line, you know, and it's going to cost a lot of money to a lot of people, and nobody wants to deal with that.
Shauna accuses the Israeli police of not prioritizing accused pedophiles on the run.
Why do you have to be the ones that do this?
Because nobody else is. I don't have any better answer than that.
And if you guys weren't doing it?
Then nobody would do it.
Israeli police told CBS News that, quote, the police coordinate closely with the Ministry of Justice and worldwide police organizations in order to find suspects overseas. Today, Caro faces charges in Israel, while back in the United States, the district attorney's office in Clackamas County in Oregon told CBS News they are working with federal authorities to secure his extradition. But Mordechai Yom Tov remains at large. The district attorney here in Los Angeles told us they have not requested Yom Tov's extradition and that they had no other comment. Jewish Community Watch says that is the problem. If American officials don't try to get accused pedophiles from Israel, then they simply escape justice and leave children at risk. The U.S. Department of Justice declined to comment on specific cases, but praised their relationship with Israel's law enforcement, adding sex offenders have been successfully extradited in the past. Days after Caro's arrest, Amuna confronted him at an Israeli police station.
I was scared. It was good. It was good to confront him. It was important for me to have that closure in my life.
The healing process will continue for Amuna, but for many, like Mendy, the lack of justice means the pain continues.
So there are two things JCW says could help close this pathway. First, better background checks on people moving to Israel. And second, more willingness from U.S. authorities to pursue the accused.
So it certainly seems like law enforcement, both here and in Israel, are sort of busy patting themselves on the back on how well they cooperate with one another. But Jewish Community Watch seems to be doing most of that grunt work, that on-the-ground investigating. Why do they say, the group, why do they say more pedophiles aren't being apprehended?
So it's very complicated when you leave the United States and go to Israel. First, they say that once these people are wanted, that they need to go to Interpol and have that international arrest warrant put out for them so that the Israeli authorities can then start looking for them. Extradition is expensive, and a lot of these jurisdictions just don't have the money or manpower to really pursue them. And then when you get to the Israeli side, JCW says that they need to be doing more background checks on these people. Sometimes a simple Google search will bring up, especially if it's an Interpol arrest warrant, will bring that up, and so that they can then know this person is dangerous, they should not be let in, or if there is an arrest warrant out for them, that they need to go and pick them up. And JCW says that there just isn't the priority to go and pick these people up, that the police don't have the resources there to go and look for these people as well. So it really does fall on JCW to track them from the United States to to Israel.
That's unbelievable. Does JCW also sort of believe that aside from law enforcement, there are sort of other elements of the community that need to work on this?
Yeah, and that's another big part of this, is that a lot of the times these people have help. And help within the community, people that help them flee to Israel. Sometimes, as we saw with Yom Tov, he had help, according to JCW, to flee the country through Mexico and then get a passport, a fake passport there to immigrate to Israel. So
these are elaborate schemes.
They are, and they need a lot of people to pull off. And they say that there needs to be a conversation within the community about not protecting people. And that's where what's so important to have Rabbi Oppenheimer, come forward and talk about this and say, this is something that is happening, and we need to address this. And and he said, the one important thing is, if someone comes to you, don't be so trusting. Look into their background, especially if there's someone who wants to immigrate very quickly. Take some time to make sure this isn't a person who's trying to flee justice.
Yeah, he was a really good element to your story because sometimes, it's not everyone's bad. There are good people just trying to help out, and they find themselves sort of caught up in a bad situation.
Exactly.
Hey, Ian, it's really nice having you here, too. Thank you.
Great to be here. Thank you.
All right.